I feel the same way I've always felt. So there's there's no change. I stated this yesterday, that people who run our prisons feel very strongly their obligation to protect the people who work there and the prisoners. I mean, that is an obligation that sometimes I think the public looking out inside of what's going on in a prison doesn't realize. There is a custodial, there is a feeling among people who work in prisons. This is what their job is. They're supposed to take care of people. And so we are very committed to do that. I think I outlined what the director yesterday, the protocol that the director has put in place. It's a very aggressive protocol. Quite candidly, she's getting calls from other states about how we put this protocol in place. Now, doesn't mean that something cannot happen. As you know, we talked about yesterday about a member of the staff who came down as positive, and we're taking actions in regard to that. But we have been, I've not announced it, but we have been reviewing for the last few weeks, really, and more intensely in the last few days, exactly if there are prisoners there who are not in there for violent crimes, who are coming close to the end of their sentence, who it may be much better for them to be out than in. These would be people who have a medical problem, people who are compromised medically, people because of their age who may be more susceptible. So we are taking a look at this. We're looking at it on a case-by-case basis. I have nothing to announce today. We are not going to turn loose sex offenders, sexual predators. There's things that we are not going to do. So we're going to be very, very careful how we are looking at this. And in the next few days, I'll be announcing what in that area we're going to do. We're not going to do anything wholesale. What we are going to do is on a case-by-case basis, make this examination and try to do what is in everyone's best interest.
Thank you.
And with the consideration of that, we do have an obligation to people in prison. We have an obligation to the staff to make it safe. But we also have an obligation to people who are outside. And we're not going to turn sex offenders loose and people who are in there for very, very serious crimes.